Good evening, everyone. My name's Jane Hutchison. I'm a Fellow of the Asia Research Centre at Murdoch University, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this national series of public forums, this one called One Just World, Think, Talk, Act on Global Poverty and Development. This series is sponsored by the Australian Government's International Development Agency, AusAid, in partnership with International Women's Development Agency and World Vision Australia. These organisations are joined by a university partner in each city, and tonight here in Perth it's the Asia Research Centre at Murdoch University. I'd like to thank the audio and video team at Corporate Theatre Productions, along with the Hyatt Regency, for their support of this event. We're delighted to see you here tonight. The forum is Growing Cities, Growing Slums. Is urban poverty the new danger? I want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we stand and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. Respecting the rights and contributions of Indigenous peoples has been an increasingly important strand in international development. The One Just World series is about providing a platform for ideas and conversations about important development issues and how they might be addressed. This is to enable people to question directly those who are involved in development, to make your own suggestions, and to find out more about the ways in which you can contribute and get involved. Tonight the focus is on urban poverty, how the concentration of world poverty is shifting from the rural areas to the city, and what we can do to address this. Last year, for the first time in human history, more than half of the world's population were urban-based. About 30% of these are living in slums, which of course means that in a number of the major cities in developing countries, the figure is higher, and sometimes considerably higher. The issues of urban poverty include lack of land tenure and associated risk of eviction, often through violent means, lack of access to safe, affordable drinking water. Urban poor are often forced, for example, to buy bottled water at a much higher price than they would pay for tapped water. Poor sanitation exposes the urban poor to disease, and they live on sites and in housing that are vulnerable to flooding and to storm damage. Many of the issues that confront the urban poor are governance issues, in that they relate to the failure of governments to provide appropriate services. Tonight we have three speakers: Alan Coulthart, Madhu Kishwar and Tim Costello. They will offer some expert insights into the problems and hopefully some solutions. And Madhu has certainly promised she has some for you. Each speaker, after each speaker has given their presentations, there'll be a brief discussion between the panellists before we turn the proceedings over to you. And then you'll have an opportunity to make comments and ask questions. So I want to begin by welcoming to the podium the host of tonight's forum, Alan Coulthart. Alan joined AusAid in 2007 as the Principal Advisor with the Infrastructure and Water Group. An engineer for more than 30 years, Alan's career has covered all major infrastructure subsectors, including urban development, water supply, sanitation, transport and energy. Alan has spent more than 25 years working in developing countries in Southeast Asia, Africa and the Middle East, addressing the development challenges of both large countries such as Indonesia, Nigeria, Vietnam, Iran, and smaller countries such as Malawi and Swaziland. And he's lived for 14 years in developing countries, including Vietnam, Malawi, the United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Nigeria. During 17 years at the World Bank, Alan was assigned to the infrastructure departments of the East Asia and Pacific region and the Africa region. Prior to joining AusAid, Alan worked in Vietnam, initially as the Urban Development Coordinator and then Infrastructure Coordinator based in Hanoi. Please welcome Alan Coulthart.